Hi guys, so here's your video about traditional design. It's gonna make a lot of sense to take notes if you're trying to incorporate aspects of it into your design. Like if you're trying to do something like real, avant-garde, like where you're like referring back to it, but you want something modern. So. Learning classical design is important because most people are exposed only to whatever is currently in the retail market, what's on trend, what's popular. Most people, when they think classical, they're thinking like what's salvaged, what was repurposed and that type of thing. But it's so much more than that. Our forefathers and ancestors, they liked aesthetics as much as we did. And because they liked aesthetics as much as we did, they still wanted their spaces to be beautified. They still wanted their environments to, be conducive for the use of the spaces and that type of thing. So classical design, whenever we think about classical design, we're actually thinking about like old European, okay? We're thinking about the beginning of the monarchy in England and in these kind of places, right? That's ideally, where the start of it derives from. I really shouldn't be laughing. Some of it's kind of silly. I've seen some silly things, in my education. Learning, when being formally educated, I came across quite a bit of craziness and foolishness in the process. So for traditional design, it does incorporate a lot of deep and dark wood tones. That's why when people want to use that now, I'm just like, my God, are you trying to create a cavernous environment? Why? Usually, if someone is not choosing a dark tone wood that isn't like really black, where it's not like a modern color, where it has too much, pecan and cherries, and it's just that kind of dark and then burled and everything, they're automatically dating themselves. How about that for a little piece of funniness right there? They're dating themselves, okay? Right now we're in 2019, and we're in 2019, but the reason that a lot of this is still on the market, and I know there's a popular furniture store down here in the South called Bear Furniture. If you're trying to do like traditional for your old auntie, honey, that's where you're going to get her stuff from. And they have tons of things to choose from, tons. The good thing though about that retailer is that they do not sell too much furniture that you're going to be confused when you're looking at it. That is what concerns me, okay? Because me, I do a lot of consulting, but I help people to kind of like, gather up whatever their hard surfaces are and making sure that the edifice itself standing is beautiful, whether it's decorated or not decorated. And so weird, I didn't think I would ever even be that kind of person, right? But when I was in design school, I don't think she's on IG, but one of my interior design professors from NYSID, she's back in Canada now, but that was her thing. That was her thing. I think she was living in Queens at the time, and her husband had a firm, and she prided herself on that. And I was like, oh my goodness, I never even thought about it like that. But then when you go through the education of it, and you start learning about the construction, you start learning about everything that precursors just the fluffing of pillows, you start understanding how important that is. So because I do a lot of that type of consulting, it disturbs me. My inner woman is completely disturbed when I see things that look like a rendition, is like just a bad CAD manifested. I get disturbed when I see that. So you got to be careful when you go to stores where they're selling something and it looks like some like 18-year-old like put it together, for his like homework assignment, and he's learning CAD, learning computer-aided drawing, and this is what it came up to be. I get concerned when there's like too many styles mixed into one piece of furniture. I know we want to be contemporary, but it's like there's just like such a lack of like historical reference is like disrespect. So that's what I like about Bear Furniture. Back on track. Bear Furniture, they have traditional looking furniture. The wood tones are correct. The wood graining is correct. The accents are proper. That type of thing. The other thing you have to think about with traditional, because I want to make sure I touch upon all of my notes. So when you're shopping, aside from these dark woods and these, you know, these kind of things, there's a lot of pairing. Symmetrical, right? We're about pairing. 2 sconces, 2 armchairs, 4 pillows, right? Or 2 facing 3 seating sofas or 2 seating sofas. You know, by a doorway, you know, 2 of the same type of case pieces, or you know, whether it's a case piece or it's a chair or fauteuil or, you know, some, you know, fancy armchair. There's going to be 2 of them. There's a lot of pairing, which is super, super important. Ornateness. Ornate and Baroque, the same. Okay, so Baroque is a period in history where it was more than just interior. It wasn't just design. It was everything that related to the arts. So there was Baroque sculptors and Baroque painters, and you know, all of this. So ornateness is a huge part of that, and in traditional design, and when you're dealing with things that are classic, you're going to see a lot of that. It's like overcompensated. It's like huge and swirly, and you know, there's detail, and you can see what kind of leaf it is if it's made out of wood. It's that type of thing going on, right? That's where you're going to see a lot of like tradition. I mean, tradition is so wide, right? That's why we're just like touching upon it that way. Then you get to, after you leave the Europes, okay, then you get to the North America. And when you get to North America, then you're talking about colonial. And you're talking about St. Anne and George. And these are the kind of wording. I don't know if you guys are running across this at all, but I want you to at least know that you heard it somewhere, okay? In the tufting, you're going to see button tufting, okay? That's you know, evident of traditional design and crown molding. We still use a lot of crown molding in contemporary, right? Because it just seems proper. It just seems proper. The other thing too is like from old Greek design, like columns. Whenever you see columns on like courthouse steps and on, you know, older southern plantation style houses, you'll see columns in that. That's Greek. So now there's different type of columns, and then there's different types of decor that they use to decorate those that are evident of traditional design, such as like acanthus leaves and, you know, all of these other kind of things that they use to kind of like beautify it, right? These are popular greenery that was ornamental back then. So they immortalized them in stone and in clay and in ceramic and pottery and in porcelain and all that other kind of stuff. Rugs, a lot of rugs they're gonna be traditional, you know, especially if it's not like a modern design or it's not like a wool with the silk. I was still doing wool and silk back then, but you know, rugs that are knotted and fringed, a lot of those that can lend to traditional type of looks. And, you know, warm colors, warm tones, dark tones, yellows instead of bright whites, and, you know, not really any gray. Okay, it's wood, or it's really representing wood, it's representing blood, it's representing very finite references. And drapery. Drapery is super, super traditional. Super traditional. So, you know, this video is just to kind of like guide you guys so you can get an idea You know, when somebody makes a reference to something, especially marbles, natural stones that have like a lot of veining and a lot of marbling, that's very traditional. You know, so you got to kind of like be careful of that. All right, guys.